well. We've played them on this map before. They've seen us play this over and over again. This is a super important map for us to win, so I know, let's throw a spanner in the works. This could end very badly for Liberty, especially if they're ill-prepared, but it could be just what they need to tide them over.
Yeah, exactly that. Well, we are underway. Map number 1 of this best of 3. It's over to Vertigo. Endgame start on that T side of his female, starting on the CT side. It's a very, very slow T side pushing towards mid. Again, going to be tested momentarily. They're potentially going for the boost as well to pick off that construction player, but it's all about timing. 1 minute 20 left on the clock as well. Smokes will come forward. Going to drop one of her own as well. Just going to fall off the position. Doesn't want to be too aggressive as we stand, but potentially could be overwhelmed. The flash will come forward. We'll catch up too. Running their way on towards this B side as well. But look at the hold. It's brilliant. Fighting the 5th as well with ease. It's a flawless round for Liberty female. We question which one we'd be getting. And it's looking like potentially it's a repeat of what we saw last time these two faced.
I love their patience there. The fact that they fall back a little bit, add a few more smokes, a little bit more confusion. They pull back, and they pull back into the right angles. You know, Endgame are kind of expecting them all to fall back over towards the B side.
Yes.
Instead, one player kind of falls back in the other direction, not realizing that there's going to be someone right behind them. Don't check that angle. And then the crossfire created. Beautiful cleanup.
Really nicely played. And as we stand, of course, that means for Endgame, no real economy. Coming into our number 2, we just see the full Glock buy coming forward. They essentially just go for the full eco. The priority here is getting that bomb down. It gives them a little bit of longevity in terms of their economy. But as we stand for Liberty female with a significantly better firepower, especially with the double M4 A1Ss on Mizzy and Thursday, this should be more or less a comfortable cleanup. The question is, will they be able to do so? They're once again making their way over towards B. In comes the flash well in towards stairs. Mizzy should be able to have a little peek if she wants to. Spamming through the wood, not going to find too much. It's all about, once again, that overwhelming push from Endgame on towards the site, but against M4A1S, it's easier said than done.
I mean, this B site is really, really stacked at the moment. They're kind of expecting it, especially because they've spotted a few outs. If Endgame want to try and swap directions here, it could bode well, but it's going to be really tough to get that timing right. As the clock continues to tick away, they kind of need to commit here, and they've got no util, so it's just going to be a rush in onto site and hope for the best.
Still playing with the clock. Now the steps have been heard as well, but Josie with the MP9 could be able to farm a little bit. Cash only going to be able to find one. M4A1S will fall as well. Now, a matter of seconds, the clocks are causing problems. Bomb trying to be planted. Will it be able to go down? Yes, it will. So at the very least, for Endgame, that's economy to work with. That is the priority in that sort of situation. Getting that bomb down gives them a bye going to round number 3. But of course, it is still that 2-0 start for Liberty.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they end the first round without getting the bomb down, that's why they come into that with literally nothing. No util, nothing. And somehow they do manage to get that bomb down. They do a nice little rush through there. They actually use Liberty's utility against them. A flash comes out and they manage to sneak their way in and get it down, but it's not going to be the round 1. But as you mentioned, it's important to have that economy going, because now they're going to be buying up into the full AK setup, but they know that they're going to have a little bit of advantage here because they did get 2 kills in the round.
Yeah, of course, see those AK-47s coming out to play. A lot of utility to work with as well. So as we stand, so far, so good in terms of what we're seeing. The likes of Endgame. Potentially, this could be their ruse over towards Liberty as well. It's technically just a bonus bar. The MP9's coming out. It's going to be able to find one kill. Mizzy getting caught on the little bit of a bar there. Very, very fortunate to be able to fall away, Mizzy. She's so fortunate. But as we take it, stays alive. That's what matters most. Now, 30 holding close and personal. Checking the radar as well, looking for that slight little red dot through the smoke. It's all about timing once again. As the smoke dissipates, who will spot out who first, who has the better monitor settings, and just like that, Endgame ring at level 4 versus 4.
As Sinon dying so early is actually huge, because she has consistently been kind of the top fragger. Yeah. She's really massive with util usage as well. I mean, she gets ridiculous damage just with utility, right? So to have her off the board is definitely an unfortunate circumstance here for Endgame.
Well, as we stand, Molotov in towards ramp makes the clock probably the worst enemy for Endgame as we stand, because time is getting on the essence, swing it forward as well. But what a shot from Flick to be able to find one. The immediate trade coming forward, though, in towards Valley. It's a 2-for-1 trade as they come in. A 1 versus 3 now, Josie all alone, trying to deny that bomb going to go down. A flashbang and an MP9 to work with. Easier said than done. We've already mentioned that before, but this one arguably harder. She might even just go for a save.
A bit of a rough spot to be in. Would be nice if she could pick up one of those. Oh, no. She might actually try and go for an exit here. She's got eyes on the bomb, but Oh, it's been covered from so many different angles. She peeks out here. She gets one. This is huge. This is almost doable.
No way.
No.
Maybe on 5 seconds as well. No, she got off the map. Oh,
Look at her
Josie, you hate to see it. You absolutely hate to see it now. If we look just in that spawn, you can see it on that wall. Accidents that have happened so far this game, that tallies up to 1. That's unfortunate for Josie, but for EndGame, that's brilliant, right? They pick up their first round on the board, but they do make it very expensive.
Watching that in the cam was so great. Like she throws her arms up like, wee! Bit of a rough one. And the really sad part is that it looked kind of winnable. But as you said, make it very, very expensive. Now EndGame not going to be full AKs again. They got a couple of Galils, not terrible. And they still got some decent util here as well. It's Liberty really who are in a bit of a tight spot here.
Yeah, as we stand, Liberty's a slightly mixed bag of buys for them. You see the FAMAS and the M4A1S come out, so he's got rifles to work with, but it's supported by the double deagle setup, that one MP9. It's not the easiest of scenarios for them to be in momentarily. M4A1S will spot out a little bit of information. Vertigo does need to be careful, though. Dropping that M4 leaves them with a real lackluster amount of firepower and more or less could decide around in a matter of seconds. Still, as we stand, a minute left to work with. EndGame, they're very, very slow and methodical in their executes.
I do like that, but sometimes you've got to kind of get that go button going. Now it's finally happened, but oh, it's going to be a huge trade there at the top of ramp, and EndGame find themselves at a massive advantage in terms of numbers, and as we mentioned earlier, weaponry.
Exactly that. As we stand so far, it's looking like EndGame should be able to get themselves a free plant. The util coming forward. It's all down to Joe's, though, in for the flag. Should be able to find at least one, and does do exactly that. Brings numbers level, but immediately traded out in a matter of seconds by Cold Xenia. One will be planted by Sinon. Actually, she's going to be tapped, trying to bait out the CTs. Will do exactly that, and brilliantly, really well played. One apiece for the two of the 3 remaining T side. And EndGame, they tied this game up immediately. And now, of course, if you look over towards the likes of Liberty, that economy is not looking too good.
Absolutely destroyed. I was kind of hoping that that would be like a redemption arc for Josie. She gets the first, but can't follow that up. And, well, she didn't really have the weaponry to make it happen. Although, I suppose that was true in the round before, and she still managed to get the 2 kills there. But unfortunately, as you mentioned, no guns, no util, nothing. Now they're going to have to go for a... Well, I say have to. They're opting for a very aggressive kind of 5-stack push out of B, trying to wrap around, and it's a firing gallery.
Yeah, very, very easy. I mean, the firepower makes all the difference, but at the very least, they pick themselves up an AK-47. Potentially, it could even just be the early save call for that AK, right? Because it's a weapon, of course, which they can't invest in towards, and it makes such a difference in terms of the long-term side of things. So as we stand, potentially, Verzi might just want to play very, very passive with it, or at the very most go for exit frags. These 2 remaining USPs, they just may as well go and look for a hunt, may I say.
Doesn't look like it. Maybe if they catch someone rotating around, because I doubt EndGame are going to want to allow the save, so they might kind of fan out a little bit, try and take that AK away, but at the same time, do you risk it? I mean, you know that Luluzine is still down on just a Galil, and yeah, okay, it would be great if you could pick up that AK and get that kind of free upgrade for yourself, even though they did technically buy that gun at the start of the round, but it's still a bit risky here. So we'll see. Oh, Liberty, yeah, look, oh, wow. Just the attention so scattered there, can't pick a direction.
At the very most, though, I like the call just to keep out of that AK-47. It's kind of a situation, it's a silver lining in a bad situation, isn't it? You know, they've got no economy to work with. They already lose initially that numbers advantage in a matter of seconds because, of course, it's just pistols against AK-47s. But to keep at least one AK going forward, it gives them a little bit of longevity, a little bit of stability in the economy. So as we stand so far, so good. But EndGame, 3-2 lead. And we mentioned kind of how tight this game was going to be. Well, looking exactly that, round for round.
But Liberty have given themselves an opportunity here. They got some guns back in their hands. A nice little wrap around here from Juliana. And she's going to get that first kill, which is immediately traded out. She does do a ton of damage onto LeFlix, though. If that can get cleaned up, Liberty give themselves an advantage.
So far, so good. And I'm actually going to decide to not go so aggressive over towards ramp. It's probably the smart decision as well. They don't really want to overextend, lose the numbers of advantage that we spoke about being so important, and of course, give EndGame all the advantages to work with. So as we stand, Josie, a lot residing on her shoulder. She has to come up clutch here as they about to overwhelm spot on the first good for the final look for the second. Not going to be the case, though. the 1-for-1 trade. Sinon will fall off the finding one, swinging back forward, bomb in hand, and bomb will fall. In fact, draw down to 1, a 1 versus 3, low on HP as well for Flix. This is looking like a dire situation for her. In a matter of seconds, 16 points of HP, make that none. What a shot. And this game tied 3 rounds apiece. And once again, we're all level. Sam, this game looking already like we could be getting a bit of a marathon of a series.
What's really interesting here again, so we bear in mind that this is EndGame's map pick, right? But we kind of expect Liberty to do better because they are on the CT side.
Yes.
EndGame keeping it this competitive on their T side means that they're going to have a much better chance once they themselves move over onto CT. This is imperative for them, and they've done really well to keep this as contested as humanly possible. But now, fairly even footing here as we come into this 7th round. Fairly even. We'll see if EndGame can crack themselves open an entry point here, because Liberty seem to have this map on lock. I mean, they're covering so many different entryways and angles here, and EndGame, it almost feels like they need to move as a death ball, because trying to move in on your own makes it so hard to trade.
Yeah, exactly that. Josie's in quite a good spot as well. She's normally playing very passive, tried to go aggressive and pace the place for us in on. What a shot! You're going to find another one through the smoke. No. That is brilliant. What a way to open up this B side in a matter of seconds. Liberty female left down to just 3. What a brilliant entry from Sinon. Being perfect in terms of just finding those opening kills, and of course, because of it, giving all the space over towards EndGame. Bomb to be planted, post bomb to be set up, and Sinon makes it a 3K.
Feels like impatience kind of plays a part there, because when you're the CT, you don't have to push aggressively, right? You just, the T's have to push. They have to get in onto the sides. They have to get the bomb down. You don't have to push out. And Josie, I don't know if she's like trying to compensate for taking the swan dive off the building, but she plays a little too aggressively there. Maybe she's trying to catch them off guard. But EndGame, they play this slower play style. They're kind of expecting that to potentially happen. They're playing the paranoia game, and it works perfectly into their favor. If Liberty want to, you know, keep themselves competitive, especially now as the scoreline continues to move in favor of EndGame, they're going to need to have to play that a little bit more patiently, because those first few rounds where they did do that, that's where they seem to have better results.
Agreed, and I think as well, kind of what you've already mentioned about impatience being again a really big factor so far, and I think you've kind of hit the nail on the head in terms of if we look at kind of the opening success from Liberty, a lot of it came from them just cutting down the clock, right, and leaving kind of EndGame with not enough time to really be able to set themselves up towards a proper execute, getting that bomb down, opening up a side clear in the angles, etc., etc. Because you know their natural thing is to play the clock towards the end and try and go for a kind of a burst on towards the side, which can be problematic. So you know by going aggressive, losing that numbers advantage, it does leave them in a bit of a dicey spot. And speaking of, Flick's already taking a significant amount of damage, that Nade down to 46. Not a bad start, considering that's a slightly mixed buy for the likes of Liberty, considering they've got a FAMAS to work with.
I mean, Furzy opting into this AWP here as well. That's pretty expensive. She is the AWP of the team, but she does very well on it, you know? I mean, one of the maps they played, she had like 17 kills and 10 of them were AWP kills, right? So it's something that she excels at, but she has to come up huge here because, as you mentioned, it's quite an investment for them. And if she dies and EndGame pick that up, you're giving away a free AWP, which is just helping strengthen their economy. It's a risky play.
No, exactly that. It's one of those things. It's the kind of the high risk, high reward that we like to speak about, isn't it? And this is exactly that. And there is the reward. Furzy, what a shot. What a beautiful skin as well, you have to say. They're going to come forward, Molotov to follow suit. Furzy just trying to hold down the fort and actually playing this sort of shotgun AWP style. Wants to gain not only the information, but the frag. She's double stacked as well. Will she be able to find one more? Yes, she will with these. Brilliant shots towards Lazina. Looking for the third. It's a dink through the metal. Second time of asking, will be able to connect. Now needs to be careful not to overextend. Has taken damage from behind. No! What a shot from Furzy. Blitz coming in for a double, though. Leaves her all alone. An ace clutch needed for her. She's been swung from all angles, and down she will fall. What a round there by the AWP. We sung her praises, and she stepped up with a 3K.
Seriously, nothing makes me happier than saying, yeah, this is a really phenomenal AWP. And then she just goes in the tiniest corner under so much pressure from 2 different angles, and she survives 2 dry peaks where she almost gets shot down. She survives and then follows that up with yet another kill. She's exceptional. But Liberty's economy still hasn't recovered.
No, exactly that. And that's the thing. They've got no stability, right? That CT economy is still becoming a problem. I've got to kind of throw it back there. That third shot, Sam, that's something ridiculous. That is just pure reaction and skill.
Dude, that flick was the one that sent me.
Yeah.
I love it, man. I love watching really, really skilled AWPers. And I feel like Vertigo is a map where I see... Maybe it's just like a me thing, but I tend to see a lot of good AWPers on this map.
Spoke about good AWPers. How about good rifles?
Hey.
As we stand, a 2K coming forward. The AWP shot this time won't be able to find anything. The information has been gained in the ramp cross. The swing here with a flashbang could be perfect. Spotting a little bit of a pixel through the likes of sandbags and 30 stepping up once again. Needs to be careful from below though, and in comes the swing. Still on good for one, but it's only a 1-for-1 trade, leaving it all down to the Xenia in a real tough spot as we stand. 1 versus 4. We spoke once again about kind of the clutch is needed, and this one seems like a bit of a shot in the dark, but does at the very least bring it down to just 3. That'll be help from Tetris, we should be able to clear. Tapping away as well. The swing should be coming forward momentarily. We speak about the 1-2-3 swing, and there exactly it is. Busy will clean things up, and that's a 5th round on the board for the CT side of Liberty Female. Now, one thing I wanted to ask, Sam, kind of for Liberty Female, now they're on the CT side of EndGame's map pick, how many rounds would you like to see from them on this CT side?
Oof, okay, so we're already at 5-4, which is not bad. I think if they can string maybe 8-9 rounds.
Yes.
It'll be tight, but it's definitely doable, right? Like, that's kind of your threshold. So get a couple more rounds off here, 3 or 4 more rounds, and you're going into your next half with that little bit of a buffer that keeps you going somewhat. And I actually just wanted to harken back. What really impressed me during that scuffle on ramp was as Furzy dies, the trade comes through from Uliana, but she was actually flashed out at the time. She was blind. Yeah. So she manages to spray down and get that trade, and it's so clean, and it's perfect. It's exactly what they needed to help secure that round. As now, well, EndGame, back down onto pistols. Liberty have done well. We spoke about how Liberty's economy hadn't quite recovered. Well, now it has. They're looking good, and EndGame, a little bit of an uphill battle here to get themselves back into it. They've got a bit of cash, though, so losing this next round, they should be able to buy in fairly easily.
Yeah, at the very least, in this sort of scenario, as we saw prior, the priority is trying to get that bomb down, guaranteeing a little bit of a long-term economy to work with, but realistically, this should be a 6-man ball for Liberty, and towards mid they go. This time, though, not opting for that kind of aggressive P. They're relying on the firepower to step forward, and there it is. From behind, though, the flank coming in, fine to the 1-for-1 trade. One collected this time, of course, an AK-47 to support. First, you're going to be able to find one more. Of course, she does with the AWP. Now, she's going to make the smart decision just to fall away. She knows it's very easy for her to be hinted in from this position. So actually going to make a very smart decision to kind of give up this site and play for the retake.
It becomes quite plain to see why they opted for that high-risk play of getting her that AWP, even though they couldn't really afford for everyone to buy in, and it's paid off massively. I mean, she's had some of these kind of hero plays that have made a huge difference, giving them a big advantage in terms of numbers, and then they're able to just kind of pounce in based solely off of that. And I mean, this is around, okay, it was an anti-eco, so we kind of expect them to come out on top of this one, but there you go. She's going to get net herself, what is that, a 2nd kill of the round. And she just keeps raking in the kills. And EndGame now at a 2-point deficit, but we've seen this before. I've seen the script. This is where they turn around again.
This is what the script says. The script says now EndGame are going to start to find a little bit of form. We'll have to wait and see. Of course, the rifle's being brought out. The only thing, though, Sam, is we still haven't really seen that T-side all picked up, right? It's going to counter that Furzy. And I mean, since she's picked up the big green, she's been more or less unstoppable. I think they now need to start prioritizing potentially picking up an AWP to try and counter because once again, she's going to cause problems finding yet another opener.
And the thing is, it's somewhat predictable. Furzy's always on ramp. Every single time. And I will say that LeFlix is not an AWPer to turn your nose up at. She's also very, very good. So I think one of the biggest issues has just been building up the economy to allow that buy to come through. Hopefully, maybe we see that in the next round as trades are still going through here. Liberty still a little bit in the driving seat.
Yeah, a couple of smokes thrown down. The gun that was spotted, I think, swinging in. Missy gonna fall as he's at least getting a little bit of space over towards his site. She's still just posturing around the smokes a lot, relying on this brackets player. Reggiani needs to step up huge here, being flanked from all positions, and just gets pincered in. Sinon finds one, but the flank has come forward. Bomb is still down as well in a 1 versus 2 situation for Juliana. I mean, this is not a done affair. I mean, the low HP as well of Azina makes it all the more difficult. She's been spotted in transition, bomb drop once again. And now the flank has been flanked as we stand, as Flink is coming up those stairs.
Oh, this is so rough. She has to keep eyes on the bomb because she doesn't know where LeFlix is going to be coming from. I think Furzy going down at that point a little bit earlier on in the round was deaf. Oh no, she's not even turning around. She's just watching the one angle.
so aware. Labored spray. Oh, that became a little bit dicey, but Flakes will be able to clean this one up. The flanker got flanked, and just like that, EndGame found the fifth. It's exactly as the script said, Sam. EndGame find their form once again. The question is now, though, for me, we've already mentioned it once before, it's a middling economy over towards the T side. They do need to be careful because what success EndGame have found, time and time again, it's been so expensive. Once again, only one player remaining alive.
It's nice to see that EndGame have kind of started to pick this back up a little bit, but we talk about economy not quite recovered. Both of these teams, a lot of broken buys here. Oh, Verzi looking to get aggressive here. I like that EndGame have kind of gone back into their more kind of patient play. Oh my god, Verzi, what is this?
Verzi. I like the idea the execution wasn't quite there. The flash did come forward and actually catch the player into his back box. And because of it, she paid the price. Man advantage going the way of now EndGame as we stand. With the numbers in their favor, things looking a little bit dicey over towards Ram, but a very exposed angle for Juliana. Oh my god, CBO, what a shot as well. 5 versus 3, they're flooding away over towards the side, and the numbers in their favor. The MP9 only to work with. This is more or less looking like it should be a done dusted affair. And this game tied up once again, 6 rounds apiece in a matter of seconds, unless Mizzy can step up huge. Does find herself one, still on with full. Looking for a boost, and she will be able to find it. Gives her a little bit of a leeway above this smoke, but as it dissipates, it will leave her open.
She hasn't moved. Oh, there we go. Down from the spot. Kind of suspects where the bomb's been planted. Not able to connect. A couple of shots there just to see if she can manage to spot somebody's head through the smoke. But it looks like they are just going to try and hold on to these guns. And I think that's probably the right call here. We're getting closer and closer to half-time. This was round 12, so that's going to even things out here at 6-6. 3 rounds left. You can't really afford to make any mistakes here, particularly because we said they wanted to get 8 or 9 rounds on the CT side. This is their kind of last opportunity to make that happen. And of course, they're going to come into this with not the best money. It's looking like it's going to be very, very rough. Okay, they've lost 2 rounds, so it's like, you know, a nice little 1900. But I mean, that's barely enough to get you much of anything. This is going to be really tough for them to try to turn around, as EndGame still haven't seen that attacking AWP. Would be nice, but I don't think... I mean, Liberty has done so well to keep these rounds expensive. Even if they lose the round, they do as much damage as they can, and it's consistently denied EndGame from even thinking about trying to pick up an AWP.
No, exactly that. You're absolutely spot on. You know, it's kind of... And as things stand, right? I mean, realistically speaking, EndGame don't need to pick up an AWP. I mean, it's not being a priority of them. And when we look at kind of how their playstyle is, they're not relying on the opening pick, you know, in terms of range, playing for that kind of a long-range, slow, methodical play. They're going very, very hyper-aggressive in their nature, going for those quick, kind of aggressive executes. So get back to the action. Mizzy going to find the opener. Fix or 4. It's a very dicey buy over towards the CT side, but potentially as we stand, they could be able to pull off a little bit of an upset. Still on fire double though. Oh, what a brilliant flick from Lizzie here to find one more. In a matter of seconds, all down to 2. 2 rifles remain alive, but they might want to prioritize saving them.
That's the thing. Sinon, somebody that I kind of spoke about a little bit earlier on, she has been phenomenal for this team. Very, very consistently being that top fragger, doing so much work here to keep their team alive. But I will say that it really does feel like a team effort here. It's not really like a hero play reliance, and I love to see that. I think that a lot of teams kind of lean into that a little too heavily. It's nice to see that all of these players are really putting in the effort to keep themselves afloat. And speaking of, Liberty, now with 3 losses in a row, gonna get an extra 2400, should be able to buy into this a little bit more, have a little bit more weaponry available, and as we said, holding on to these 2 little rifles that they have available, the M4 and the AK, and hopefully they'll be able to kind of mount the... okay, exit frag, keeping it expensive.
And there we go. They managed to go for the hunt and successfully do exactly that. And that's a really, really big deal over towards EndGame, because it means, once again, if you look over towards Liberty, with this kind of slightly dicey situation, you know, if they saved themselves an M4 or an S or an AK-47, they potentially could have gone for maybe a glass cannon AWP and kind of gone for that risk once again, giving Verzi the range to kind of just free roam with an AWP. But now, of course, by losing all the rifles they had, that's not actually a possibility anymore. So it's a really good hunt from EndGame. And I'm not going to say more or less guarantees an 8, but makes makes it all the more easier because they now know they don't have to battle too much. And range with a brilliant flash there. Vertigo going to find the opener. Doesn't need an AWP. Able to do with the rifle as well. Slamming forward, trying to find one more. Won't be able to deliver. But at the very least, numbers favor the CT side. That's a dream start. They're looking to find even one more. And they will do exactly that from above, like an assassin. Juliana finds one. Look to make it second. And she does it brilliantly.
No.
Look at this A-ramp hold. Absolutely stellar. Looking to make it flawless. And they'll do exactly that. 5 remain alive. And Liberty, that's a statement.
That is heartbreaking for EndGame. I mean, so the first thing that happens is they lose Sinon. And then there's just random smoke spray. And it's purely because Liberty know they like pushing for ramp control. And they spot out 1 or 2 players. You know, the flash came out, as you said. That allows them that first kill. So they spot a couple, throw out the smoke, and they're just like, yeah, they're probably still there.
Yeah.
So a little bit of predictability, a little bit too telegraphed, and that loses them a round that they didn't really have to lose.
Oh, exactly that. Precisely, right? There's no need for them to be so kind of aggressive in their nature. But they pay the price for that smoke, especially. I think from above, they weren't too aware of the pixel peak, but through the smoke once again, Furzy finding the opener. She's been stunning. Opening jewels seem to be so well in her favor, but have a look at this. Mizzy's got the bomb. They have no idea she's gone so aggressive. Wouldn't even think to clear it. No, they don't. It's a free kill in her name. Flicks or fall. Two kind of numbers advantage in their favor. The most important thing is all the information they got. They know they're trying to posture towards A. It failed, and they can more or less go and stack over towards B now because that's where they have to default towards.
It's just yet another heartbreaking round. Sinon consistently wanting to be that entry, wanting to be the tip of the spear, and just getting shut down by Furzy. Furzy seems to be her Achilles heel in this matchup.
She's been brilliant. Absolutely stunning from range as well. Mizzy stepping up. Josie only able to find damage, but Mizzy in for the quick trade. Concise as well. Looking to make it a third at range. The Glil causing problems. Mizzy down 7 points of HP. Pop Flash will come forward. Well, Xenia will avoid it and will find herself with another kill to her name. Now she's all too cautious of the flank. It's 1 versus 3. Don't exactly to work with, but she swings in towards 2. At the half, 8-7 is where we stand, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to 31 to an ever so slight break, and we'll see you after it.
My feet can't touch the ground as my knees hit the rough. My heart is feeling drowned, and I can't lie still, 'cause the tides are slowly rising, just chasing surreal, and my prayers will fall to rest. It won't bring me down on this jar within this ocean. Oh, I won't need you now. I'm forever sticking tough. The waves bite me, my skin feels shattered still, but strength I will be to force out of my will. Please hold up, 'cause my feet can't touch the ground as my knees hit the rough. My heart is feeling drowned, and I can't lie still, 'cause the tides are slowly rising, just chasing surreal, and my prayers will fall to rest. It won't bring me down on this jar within this ocean. Though I won't need you now, I'm forever sticking tough. The waves bite me,
Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Liberty female lead at the half, 8-7. Never going to holler at anyone. It's got to be that on Thursday. With the AWP in hand, she has been glowing. But what a good game we've had so far. And Sam, one thing that we kind of were speaking about in the green room just now is this is the exact same half we saw last time these two sides played.
Yeah, I was really curious because I was like, wow, this is really close. How did it happen last time? Literally exactly the same. 8-7 with FE starting, or Liberty FE starting on the CT side. But curiously, EndGame on their CT side only managed to get 4 rounds, and then Liberty ran away with the T side. And that is a curious development because most maps generally tend to lend themselves to the CT side here. And with this being EndGame's map pick, we're kind of expecting something a little bit more. So let's see if they can change up some of their play and maybe secure themselves a few more rounds here.
Exactly that. Already information spotting towards ramp, and immediately in comes the push. Liberty know they've been spotted, and they just have to send their forward. In comes the smoke as well. Molotov to clear out that sort of sandbags. But the rotation, interesting enough, hasn't been called by EndGame. They're still committing over towards that B side, and it needs to come more or less immediately. They've checked in towards stairs. No one to be found. Bombs to be planted in the hands of Mizzy. And now this post bomb becomes all the more interesting. It's a 5 versus 5 retake with a small amount of util damage coming forward. As we stand, this one should be getting a little bit interesting in terms of this retake. Already, very, very slow from EndGame. They're waiting to find this opening pick, but look at this double tap into a sandbag from range. First trying to find something. It's a 1-for-1 trade. Mizzy going to be able to fall off the one, though. Juliana will even expect a clear. No, they don't. She finds one. Look for the second. Not going to be able to find it. Sinon stepping up. Leaves Josie all alone. A 1 versus 3. Will she be able to deny? Will she be able to hit those shots? But no, not the case. Sinon finishes that one off with a brilliant start to the half. The same way she had a brilliant finish.
Yeah, you really don't want to be going into a 5v5 retake. That is...
Yeah.
Okay, it is a pistol round, and EndGame kind of allow that. They just pull back because they don't want to lose a player early on if they don't have to. So, okay, fair enough, I suppose. But it's very rough on Liberty because they find themselves in a more defensive position here, and they're not able to maintain. EndGame held on to what little bit that they had available, a little bit of utility there, and they use that to obscure vision somewhat and then mount that retake. If you're the T side, you want to get a kill or two before you get bombed down because you kind of need it.
Yeah, exactly. Precisely, like you have to, right? In that sort of situation, 9 times out of 10, it's a necessity. But, I mean, in that case, the retake was really well done. Look at this hold, though. They don't clear the post there. Position, good for 2, but the trades come forward. The Eagles are causing problems, 3 versus 3, but in steps in on. She found 2 in the last round, finds 2 already in towards round number 17, looking to make it a 3K in the half, in towards brackets. Mizzy all alone, and down she will fall. Another 2 for Sinon closes out this one, and just like that, EndGame regain the lead, 9-8. It's a slim 1-round lead, but they're taking nonetheless.
So is this where we flip the script back again? And,
potentially.
EndGame win 2 rounds, Liberty wins 2 rounds. It very well could be that that's how we go into this next one, because, of course, Liberty coming into this with a full buy, more or less. And, yeah, looking to try and take advantage of that. Making a little bit of noise, maybe trying to sell a fake here, but looks like they are kind of angling. See, they haven't picked up bomb yet, so they haven't actually committed, and I like this. I like that they kind of trying to sell a potential move, trying to draw some of those rotations, and then we'll see. So wait, do they get an early pick-off here and then choose to push it, or do they just make that noise and completely turn around?
Yeah, it's one of those situations, right? I mean, as Liberty kind of stand, they have the ability to just full cancel, right? They don't have to commit over towards ramp. They were able to get a lot of space towards that pistol run, and this is why potentially they might want to posture towards this ramp position already, because they know to a degree how EndGame like to play it, which is quite passive. So once again, it looks like they're making that committal play over towards top A. The question is, how do they clear that of Naomi as we stand? She's just holding and waiting.
This is like super patient from Liberty. A little bit more than expected. Tried to bait out a lot of that util, but just not checking that angle.
And now they know Flicks into a sandbags as well, so potentially could be able to find one there, and all she has to do is buy some time. Sinon coming in for support, Flicks will form. Is he at least finding one to bring the numbers level? The question is, they've still got quite a lot to do, and look at the time. Just over 30 seconds left to work with, and this one getting a little bit dicey. It's safe to say. In comes the smoke, in comes the util, and it's more or less now has to be a committal play over towards A. And Naomi still holding and waiting, still looking to find one more, which she does excellently. At least the 1-for-1 trade. Luzinho comes in for a little bit of a trade, leaving Josie and Mizzy. What was looking like a 2 versus 1, made that a 1 versus 1 bomb to be planted with just over 10 seconds left on the clock, but look at the timing. Swinging forward, Mizzy forward to stay alive. Trying to set him a host plant, takes a bit of damage, but manages to fall away. Now, the question is, what can she do? Going for a slightly elevated angle, and no, they say pros don't fake. Surely not.
No ways.
That's genius. So well played from Sinon. She finds the kill as well.
I actually really loved the way that Liberty played that. I was talking about baiting out a lot of utility. By the time they actually pushed in, all EndGame really had to work with was one flash.
Yeah.
So Liberty had like a whole boatload of util still left available. So I loved the idea behind it, and I thought that that was going to work out really well for them, but it continues to trade EndGame really, taking full advantage of the CT-sidedness of this map. They're able to whittle it down to the 1 versus 1, but no one's expecting Sinon to just stick it.
No.
The absolute gall.
Yeah, the sheer gall. I mean,
I can't even, hey.
As they say, pros don't fake, and Sinon does exactly that. I mean, that is such a kind of a confidence play, isn't it? And I think that is also testament to how well Sinon played into us that first half. She's been so confident and so kind of reliant on her mechanical prowess. In that scenario, you always do expect, in a 1 versus 1 clutch situation, no one's going to stick a defuse when they know that the post one is just around the corner. I mean, it's such a smart play, but at the same time, I mean, kind of a questionable one, which just works so well. So credit where credit's due. And of course, what it has done is guaranteed them a 10th round on the board. We mentioned how Liberty last time out took the series 2-0 relatively comfortably in a 16-11, 16-10 fashion. This one looking like it could go the full distance, if not the other way, with EndGame causing an upset.
Now, this was the map that went to 16-11, and if Liberty lose this round as well, they will be able to buy into the next.
Exactly.
So we could see that momentum shift here. EndGame kind of going to be on their toes here, really trying to make sure that they don't allow that to happen. They having some flashbacks here, trying to make sure that they don't fall into the same mistakes, the same patterns that they did previously. Now Liberty kind of just, it's a more or less an eco here with the 1 hero rifle, and looks like they're just going to go for a death ball.
Seems like the plan. Once again, committing over towards his A site seems to be the priority as we stand. And Naomi in towards Sandbag, trying to hold down the force. Sinon is under brilliant start for the second half. This time not even able to find one, but it's Naomi from Sandbags. Hasn't been cleared properly. They know they went for the full play in towards that of the alleyway, and she now all she has to do is buy some time, finding a 3rd kill. Technically on for the ace as well as Blake comes in for support. Naomi's been brilliant with the Tech 9 at raid to find one, leaving it all down to one. Salamizzi, 1 versus 2, 1 versus 1, and no way she's turning 1 versus 3 into potentially a clutch situation. 10 seconds left on the clock, and has to commit towards a bomb plan, which she does do. And it's Golzina sneaking away forward. Will she even think to clear it? Mizzy doesn't think that Golzina had pushed so far forward. It's more or less a free kill. What a play from her, and another clutch going the way of the CT side, back in towards a 1 versus 1. And just like that, EndGame make it 11.
But Liberty do get bombed down, and they keep it relatively expensive. Not so much that it's a massive detriment to EndGame, but it does stop them from being able to get a full loadout into this round. And that's kind of what I was concerned about as we come into this one. Now EndGame get themselves at the exact same number of points they had the last time this team played against one another. Liberty coming into this with a full buy. They've got the AWP as well. We saw what Rosie can do that on the CT side. Let's see what she does with it on the T side.
Exactly that. I think that AWP might be the difference maker as well. We mentioned that we didn't see a T-side all come out for the likes of EndGame towards that first half. We questioned it at first, but I think it actually was kind of more fitting to their playstyle. They're very aggressive in their nature, and having an orb wouldn't have really given them what they needed in terms of the quick executes coming forwards. But for the likes of Liberty, who like to look for that opening pick, like to look for a little bit of space and then capitalize off the back of it, I think having Furzy pick up that AWP is a really smart decision. The question is, can she perform with it the same way she did in that first half?
Well, for now, she's just kind of holding an angle, which makes a ton of sense. These ramp plays seem to be the call of the day, but Liberty going to get themselves a nice little opening there, and that's going to free up quite a bit of space.
Of course, Sinon's still holding in towards Sandbag. Flash will come forward. Sinon evolves it quite nicely. Well, not going to spot out too much. Does need to be careful as well. She's quite open as we stand. Going to fall back over towards the site. The smart decision to be made. Molotov will come forward as well. She wants to go slightly more aggressive. Spam going through the metal. She's lucky to avoid all the shots necessary. And now this one does become
Oh,
A little
no.
bit of a dicey one, but look at the sneak out on towards B. We'll even think about this. EndGame has still got 2 players stacked over here, relatively speaking. One towards B, one towards back pillar. Jody finding once in on all fours, an important kill. Sneaking their way forward in towards the back lines as well. Zenith doesn't quite hit the shot and leaves them exposed from behind. The flank becomes a problem, but the trade comes in. 3 versus 2. Numbers favor that Liberty, and the bomb gets planted.
This is a bit of a messy round, all things considered. Everybody's kind of trying to outflank somebody.
Yeah.
Somebody's getting flanked by the flanker who's flanking another flanker. But it does come out in favor of Liberty. They get the bomb down. It's a 2 versus 1 here. AWP is still in play. Lulu, a lot to play for here. Not a lot to make happen. Oh, there we go.
It's a really nice post bomb, isn't it? That's much better
Yeah.
from Liberty in terms of how they set up their post bomb. We've seen time and time again when they've got that bomb down. So far, it's been a kind of a 1v1 clutch situation where they're not able to set up a post bomb. So because of that, they're not really left with too much of a comfortable situation. That was much better from them. It was a little bit more tactical. They found that opening kill. They're able to go quick off the back of it. And I think that flank, well, realistically speaking, they should have been able to get away with it. The fact that they did made such a difference.
I think flushing Sinan out from sandbags was actually huge as well, because it
Agreed.
completely opens up that site. And yes, she does go on a flank. She does manage to get a pick off, but she's immediately traded out just about. And then Liberty have a huge advantage in terms of numbers. They manage to get their AWP player into position. And Furzy, well, she doesn't miss. She manages to hold down. I mean, we actually saw the pop flash come out as well. The attempt to try and flush her out of sandbags, maybe move across the map a little bit there, but not able to quite connect. And that's going to be Liberty starting to bring the momentum back around as EndGame find themselves back down onto Eco. There's not much to play with here.
It's like an eco, but it's also a forced buy, isn't it? Because they, they've got for as much as they can in terms of, we see the Triple Eagle setup, the double MP9. It's not the greatest round, is it, for them in terms of the firepower they're bringing? As we stand for EndGame, this one could be problematic. But that's why we're seeing this gamble stack coming forward. We're seeing this one go for a little bit more of a high-risk, high-reward play from EndGame. But as we stand, the default back over towards ramp is just the norm for Liberty. That's where they find their comfortability. That is, of course, their default. And so far, so good. As they're making their way what is over to more or less a barren site.
Yeah, a bit of a gamble stack here from EndGame over towards the B side. Now they move over towards A, and well, they start to make things happen for themselves. They're keeping it expensive where they can, but unfortunately, they're only going to get the 2 kills. I say only, that's not terrible for an eco round. Now, it's not going to be enough to take guns away from Liberty, but, it helps to kind of keep the econ as low as possible. Yeah. Unfortunately, the big issue here is they're still not really able to put too much into this. In the previous round, they had a couple of guns to play with. In this one, I mean, they barely have utility. This is... Oh, I cannot believe that this is just playing out. I feel like we're watching is this a rerun? Hello, is this live?
Honestly, as we stand, this is looking exactly like the first time they played that. I got to 11, and now it's the script completely flips. And for Liberty, this should be tying this game up. There's kind of no if, buts, and maybes. When you look at the buy in which we're seeing for the likes of EndGame, with 1 P250 to work with and 4 USPSs, this has to only go one way. I think that now the real narrative we have to start talking about is how many kills, if any, EndGame do find. They do need to, at the very least, try and make things expensive. Primarily speaking, you look towards the AWP, right? Damaging Furzy's economy is long-term a big plus for them, because she has been the difference maker.
I mean, we say that, but look at Mizzy. She's been a monster.
True.
She's on 24 kills here. She's been clutching. She's been getting multi-kills. No, really, she's done so much. Between her and Furzy, they make these sites somewhat uncrackable. And here on this T side, it's tip of the spear, Mizzy getting herself into a nice position. I mean, look at this, back into a 5v5 retake.
Oh, in comes the swingers over the CT side. It's a complete mow down. Into the meat grinder they go. But it's a flawless round at that. Mizzy gets a lovely little 3K. And as we stand, 11-11, this game tied once again. We mentioned coming into this, potentially could be a 3-map, quite an even series. And it's playing out exactly as we predicted, Sam. These two sides, they're inseparable.
Trying so hard to keep that momentum going where possible. I love the fact that Mizzy could very easily get a 30 bomb in this.
Yes, comfortably.
Just keep going. You know what, make it a 40. Why not? We'll see how far she can go with that one. EndGame really struggling here to get the frags. Just like that.
Yeah, well, of course, Naming going to fall in a matter of seconds. Numbers favour the T side once again. And this slightly more aggressive stance on Liberty in terms of very, very early into the round, closing out a lot of the space and kind of relinquishing a lot of that control that EndGame are so used to having is now becoming a problem over towards EndGame because they're being caught in transition. And this is where we see that success come forward. Deep Mid will come forward, will actually do quite a significant amount of damage. First down to 57, Mid's down to 66. It's exactly the sort of damage that Cozina wants to find, and she's very smartly just going to fall away. Doesn't need to overextend, just jumping for information, not going to spot out too much as we stand. But a leg has been spotted. Now she can double back, relay the information, of course, hope for a rotate to come in momentarily.
That should be able to come in relatively quickly. She doesn't really have any util to use here to slow it down, so she really does have to rely on the rotations to come out. And Liberty, they do have the util, and looks like they're going to try to push this.
Forward, Corsina looking for one. A laboured spray gets polished though. Juliana finds one, and as we stand, this now becomes a really uncomfortable situation. I'm sorry to say, Stinon, who has been a significant difference maker, finds herself a kill. But take a look at what we're seeing now, Sam. They've completely sold the fake. They've gone over towards A.
I love it. I've been waiting to see a true fake come through. We saw EndGame kind of posture to it a little bit, but it didn't really come to fruition. Liberty did pretty well on that CT side to kind of keep shutting it down. Liberty, however, on their own T side, they do, as you say, sell that fake, get that bomb down. Now they just have to get into post plants. They have a numbers advantage. They're going to get Furzy into position, and here you go. Perfect. EndGame, just going to save.
It's a smart decision, isn't it? I mean, once again, you have to take a look at that long-term economy. You spoke about kind of like stability, and I think on that CT side, it's significantly more difficult to build up. When you take into account the extra additional kind of payments they need to make, you speak about the M4 Air&S being slightly more expensive, the kit needs to be picked up, even the Molotov being more expensive, or the incendiary more expensive than the Molotov. All these kind of small things do add up in the long term, which is what makes EndGames just the time on CT side a little bit more uncomfortable than it usually would be, bearing in mind it's one of the more CT sided maps. But a really solid T side for Liberty in these kind of last 3 to 4 rounds. The map has been paused as we stand. We're going to see an EndGame use one of their tactical pauses. And I think this is the right time to call it. They've lost the momentum, but now they've got a full buy.
Now they have a chance to turn it around. Exactly. And I mean, to be fair, as much as Liberty have been on a little bit of a streak here, it is still just a 1-point advantage.
True.
It's taken them a while to claw back into this. They lost quite a few rounds at the start. 4, in fact. And EndGame have an opportunity here. It's not as beefy as they would have liked. We kind of spoke about how we never had the opportunity to see the T-sided AWP from them. I'm not even sure if we're going to get to see the CT-sided AWP from them, because Liberty just keep making it expensive. Despite the fact that they had a 4-round win streak, Liberty consistently getting as many kills as they can in around 2 to 3 kills every round. EndGame just not able to build up the economy that they would have wanted. And even now, when they find themselves on quite a bit of a loss streak and are able to buy in once again, it's still not enough to get them that AWP. And of course, Furzy still has hers available. Now, she has been relatively quiet on this T side, and I think that's to be expected. A T-sided AWP is not necessarily going to get the same value that a CT-sided one will have. But it's one of those things where, like, the weapon, the sheer existence of the weapon does so much. You hear that sound and you're like, oh, we got to be careful now. We can't be too aggressive. We can't dry peek because, you know, there's an AWP right there. So it does force EndGame to have to play a little bit more carefully. And I think that they are actually maybe playing a little too carefully. Like, throw some of your util out, you know, use some of those smokes and flashes, deny the sightlines, do like a double swing so that if she does get one, you're able to trade on it. Then the AWP is off the board, right? So hopefully they can get that, try to isolate those 1v1s where possible as well.
Yeah, exactly that. Well, if we're right in saying we are into a tech pause, so hopefully only something momentarily. We already mentioned kind of coming towards the season for Liberty. They did have that very unfortunate kind of technical issue where for them they had to forfeit a map, and of course that caused a lot of issues in terms of just your general morale, your mental, where things don't look too good. And of course, because of it, they lost 16-14 into map number 2, lost the series. It wasn't really the best of starts for Liberty Female. Now, of course, we hope this tech pause is only one of momentarily kind of no forfeiting of any kind, and we get this one back on the way. Because so far, it's been such a good match between these two sides. If I'm right in saying it's most likely you, Juliana, she's not the one. She's the only one who hasn't picked up a weapon as we stand. But EndGame, now we see a full buy coming out. They've lost complete control of the momentum, And as we stand, they need to do everything in their power to completely turn these tides because, failure to pick up this round here, they're once again forced into a double eco situation where they more or less give Liberty kind of up to, 14, potentially even 15 rounds on the board before they can pick up a very comfortable buy once again. And that is a very dicey spot. This is more or less a do or die situation.
What I found really interesting, and I'm just bringing it back to the AWP thing, because the note that I made was I was looking forward to the Furzy LaFlix matchup, and literally the note that I made was LaFlix wins those.
Oh, okay.
So it would be nice to see her pick up that AWP. Maybe if they can snag themselves around here, get some of that econ going, maybe we see that a little bit later. Maybe it's what they need to turn this back around. But for now, Liberty gonna keep doing what they have been all along. Gonna make a little bit of noise again. Bomb hasn't actually picked a side yet, and it's all about, well, do we get an opening pick on one side? Do we sell a fake? And Endgame, not sure what to expect.
Oh, swing with the FAMAS Cassini. That's very aggressive. And actually nearly works in her favor. Molotov will come down. She does need to be careful as she's swinging forward. Lazini comes in for support, finding the opener and finding Mizzy, and that's an important kill because we know how, brilliant she has been so far. Say 27 kills she stands on, and losing her early in towards the round. Now this spells potentially a little bit of a troublesome period for Liberty Female. They've not got the numbers advanced anymore, and of course, more importantly, they've lost their big impact fragger.
This is kind of what I was hoping to see from Endgame here. Maybe give themselves an opportunity to come back into this. Now, Furzy is actually playing a very dangerous game here, trying to, go relatively deep with this AWP. A lot of the space has already been cleared, and they think that they've cleared sandbags, but they don't realize that there's someone right there. And at one misstep here, and Furzy is down.
Swinging for what a flash from Joji, though. Into his back. Pillars, he just has for a double. For the third is brilliant. So well played from her. It's all down to Josie all alone now in a 1 versus 3 situation. And love HP on Lazina does give us some potential to work with, and sound cues have been heard, but this is a tough clutch. She's got so much to do, so little to work with, and of course now she's giving away the ruse of where she's coming from. She makes sound cues herself. This one should be done in a matter of seconds, and there it is. Blix finds that final shot. Josie will fall, and once again this game tied all square, 12 rounds apiece. Sam, we are in for a fiery series already. You can just tell.
Sometimes I hate being right. Yeah, I talk about how they think they've cleared sandbags, but the flash play comes out and it's really good, but everybody's looking in the exact same direction. And nobody's checking for anyone pushing out behind sandbags, and that's going to be a double, triple kill there. And that just secures them the round. But this is great news for Endgame. They've beaten the score that they had against Liberty the last time they played against one another. We're not going to see that AWP come out just yet. Maybe in the next round if they can maintain a bit of early damage here onto Name. He's going to also have to play a little bit more safely. Oh my god, the return damage though.
A huge amount of util damage. Sin on swinging forward. They line up, but she's full blind. Look at the util being used there. Forcing the CT side into a very, very passive sort of position as we stand. And potentially even Liberty might be able to just cancel and fall right back over towards B. And that's exactly what we're seeing. That's a really smart call. Josie snuck her way out in towards mid. Snuck her way through that smoke. And all she has to do potentially as we stand is just hold and wait. The flashbangs are still coming forward. A lot of that CT utility is being used, but Josie, that's the important kill. That's the one she was looking for. And now, of course, decisions can be made because Endgame, they're going to be spread thin.
Now, it's really rough to make this happen when you only have 4, but it looks like it's going to be that rush in towards B side. No one by sandbags this time around, but Coldzena looking to wrap around. Oh, and it's a spraying gallery.
They swing forward. Sinon has been such a difference making out 2 versus 3. This one becomes very dicey, especially when you take into account that bomb is dropped in a less than opportune position and becomes very, very difficult to be able to collect. They do have a smoke to work with. At the very least, they can potentially find a little bit of space and security in terms of trying to collect that one, but they need to get that smoke down once again towards Jen. Potentially still need to find something. Missed shot though, can become problematic. Faster come forward. Sinon finds one more, looking to make it a second, but his name needs to clean things up. 13-12, and Endgame once again for the first time in a little bit of a sporadic period, they find that lead.
I almost don't want to see the AWP from Furzy anymore. Although LaFlix has just picked it up. It finally happened.
Yeah.
So I think that this is going to be a tough decision to make, right? Do you make that spin? Do you invest that, make yourself a little bit of a glass cannon, and have to try and take the fight to LaFlix, who I had apparently noted is the one who wins those? No, it looks like that's not what happens. Instead, we're going to go for full rifles and try and invest a little bit more into util. create the openings that they need. And this is going to become really important here because, again, LeFlex has that AWP, and we spoke about sightlines. We spoke about how important it is to shut down, kind of isolate those 1v1s, set up your smokes and flashes, and that's going to be more important than ever here for Liberty if they're going to want to shut down LeFlex.
Precisely that. And, you know, we were kind of mentioning about EndGame how kind of that previous round was do or die, and it was kind of becoming a really dicey spot. And kind of the analogy I like to use for that one is that glass floor, where, you know, for them, lose that one and everything from below just falls apart. The same thing can now be said over towards Liberty. This is potentially one of their last buys where, you know, failing to convert here, they go into an awkward eco situation where they have to give up a 15th over towards EndGame, and that builds a lot of pressure. And you got to remember, this is EndGame's map pick.
Oh, that is aggressive. What a nice little early pick off there. Liberty was not expecting that at all. They're looking to play a slightly more passive game here, and they get completely caught out. And the important part of this is that flush tells them that there's nothing happening at B. So look at this rotation over towards A. They've stacked this.
Yeah, exactly that. And that's the important one as well, because Josie has been a nuisance in towards mid. She's been consistently finding a lot of space and baiting out a lot of that CT utility. So because of that, now that they've got so much security that their standard mid lurk is no longer present, a lot of reliance now goes on towards this rotation, which we do see coming forward. The committal play has been made over towards B. We see two players here, one in towards other construction, and all they have to do is hold and wait. It's a matter of timing, which definitely favors the CT side as we stand. And potentially for Liberty, they might be leaving this one a little bit too little, too late. The Boost can come forward, trying to spot out something. Zine just going to fall off the angle. Molotov to come forward. She's going to reposition herself. Goes Xenia holding just above that smoke. It's all about timing on this execute. And with just shy of 20 seconds on the clock, Liberty are leaving this one to a very dicey spot to try and make their way forward. And Flick with the AWP delivers in the way we thought she would. Xenia finds one more. Thursday at least in for a trade on towards Navy, but time is of the essence. 5 seconds after the clock. Bomb trying to make his way down, but Xenia from behind would be able to deny. Bomb gets planted, but what can they do now? 2 versus 4. Numbers favor the CT side, and they swing their way forward. It's all down to 1, and Mizzy only able to find that 1 kill.
I love that mid-round rotation because they actually, so they had Luluzina move over towards A to make the 3-stack there after that kill onto Josie comes out. And the read from them to know, okay, Liberty are not actually going to push A. So Luluzina rotates all the way back towards B. And by the time she gets there, she actually gets there just in the nick of time so that as the push comes through from Liberty, they've set up their crossfires, they've set up their angles. And it's so easy to just start mowing them down. It was a fantastic read from EndGame, and now they're slowly inching their way closer. I mean, I got excited when they got to 12 points. They'd beaten their previous score against Liberty on this map. Now they get themselves up to 14. We're 1 round away from match point. Liberty down on a... Okay, no, they're going to start to buy in here. Okay, we had a little bit of a pause there. I suppose I should just hold my horses. But it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be ideal by any measure. You know, they only got 2 AKs here. And okay, there's a little bit of firepower in the Galil, but you would really want to have a bit more. You can actually see they've sacrificed a little bit to make sure that they can bring in some good, decent util. But if they keep throwing out all the util so early here, expecting some sort of an aggressive push, they're not going to have a lot left for the rest of the round.
Yeah, now Mac 10 is kind of, for me, a slightly problematic factor. Yeah, when you get to AWP, 1 missed shot, the Mac 10 will come prevalent, but Vertigo's one of the kind of longer range kind of maps in the pool. When you're looking towards how an AWP can be all the more prevalent, they do need to be careful. Flix does need to herself, though, be careful. She's holding very aggressive, more or less shotgun AWPing. Sound cues have been gained. The Molotov did do a little bit of tick damage over towards that of Mizzy. And now, of course, for the likes of EndGame, they're going to have all the more understanding that potentially they're going back to default. Back over towards that rampart. Look at that nade damage coming forward. Mizzy up to 32. Reggie up to 76. Stram going to come in as well. First, they can quite the significant amount of damage. For EndGame, they're in a very, very good spot on the AWP. Spot the leg, but missed shot could become problematic as she now needs to be careful from below. Spotting out one, another missed shot, now needs to pull away. Being caught in transition, the flank will only be able to net themselves a double. Flicks, good for 1. A consolation kill at most because the bomb to be planted momentarily.
Oh, the pressure coming in from ramp was massive there. Now Liberty completely turned the tables. Now they're going to be able to get that bomb down, but they've put themselves in a bit of a defensive position. We know how good they were on their CT side. So to turn things around like this, now they have the numbers advantage. Regayana has picked up the AWP as well. And as we mentioned, you know, the defensive stance with the AWP tends to work out a little bit better. You hold that angle down. And now EndGame gonna have to save. This is a great turnaround from Liberty in a map that they in a round that they probably shouldn't have won. I spoke about the pressure at the start of the round, and I really think that made a huge difference. They identified that the AWP is on ramp. They throw out a ton of that utility, and I gotta say it, LeFlix missing those shots, that's huge. That is, it does so much to bring things back in favor of Liberty, because every time you miss the shot, you have to reposition because of just the nature of the animations when it comes to reloading and so on. So you have to pull back, and you're giving over so much free space. Liberty take advantage of that. The smallest misplay, and it's not even a misplay per se, right? You didn't hit the shot, and it sucks, but it happens. And so they managed to flush her off of her position, and they pivot off of that. Really well played to take advantage of something so small and turn it into a round win.
Yeah, exactly. You hit the nail on the head there. We see a quick tag pause going to come forward from EndGame. I think it's actually a very good time to call it. We spoke about how momentum heavy these two sides have been, and this is a prime example of exactly that. For EndGame, who went on quite a decent little flurry towards kind of the latter part of this second half, looking like potentially they could have been able to close this one out. Now it's not looking as comfortable. We see a slightly mixed buy once again over towards them. Still not only be able to pick up the MP9, which for me is a little bit of a question mark. I would have kind of liked to have seen her potentially be dropped one of the AKs or the M4 A1Ss because of how well she's been playing individually. Kind of just rely on her to be able to net themselves a kill or two. And that's not going to be the case. 13-14. Sam, we could even be in for an overtime here.
Oh, you know what? I'd be here for it. I want to see the EndGame redemption arc here after losing out that first time. And okay, Liberty, we kind of mentioned how they had a really rough start to groups here, so it's a bit of a redemption arc for themselves as well. And with this being, we kind of highlighted the stakes at the start. This is super important. This matchup will determine who's going to play in the decider matches next weekend. And of course, the teams that win in the decider will go to Dallas. So this is very, very important for both of these two teams. So much on the line here. And you can see it in the way that they play, right? Just trying so hard not to make any of those missteps, being super methodical about each and every push.
Yeah, a lot on the line here, and of course this is only map number 1, so it's already a starting detail how good this series can be. Slightly missed bit of util there, but still will cause significant amounts of damage. The T side, Liberty, they're committing over once again towards his default of that A ramp, which has been sporadic in terms of his success, but of course now they're against Sinon with just an MP9 that could at the very least hail a bit of success. In comes the flash coming forward, Sinon trying to close down the gap, but she gets caught off. Oh, what a lovely swing there. The double coming forward from Juliana as we stand. Numbers favored out of the T side, and that site looking very barren. They're swinging their way forward, and they should be able to guarantee themselves a comfortable plan, or so I say. Navy finds one through the smoke.
It's such a small thing, but it's so smart. Flash comes out, doesn't connect. You know where the flash came from, so you throw a counter flash, and she swings and gets 2.
Brilliant.
It's the smallest thing, but it works perfectly. Gives them the advantage they need, get the bomb down, and EndGame forced into their second save in a row, as Liberty are now going to even out the scoreline. This has been so back and forth. I think the longest streak, so I'm quite certain Liberty won the first pistol, strung it into about 4 rounds, and then we just went 2 for 2 for 2 for 2. Then we come into the half. EndGame wins the pistol. They string 4 rounds together, and then we go 2 for 2 for 2 for 2.
Yeah.
It's continued that way, so back and forth. And I love the fact that both of these teams look just as strong on their T side as they do on their CT side. I love the fact that they're both so tenacious and just not willing to give up that space unnecessarily. And I'm loving these small micro plays that come through, the really smart maneuvers, finding those tiny chinks in the armor and then exploiting that into a round win. It's such an important thing to see, and I love that we're seeing it here.
Yeah, no, exactly that. EndGame going to use the last of their tactical pauses. One thing that I'm actually quite happy in saying is, like, you know, when we've seen a couple of these games in recent times when things aren't looking too good, we don't really often see that tactical pause come forward, and that does become problematic for me because they want to cut this momentum, and that's exactly what EndGame are doing right now. They're kind of cooling the jets of Liberty Female and kind of allowing the EndGame side to really figure out the way in which the T side are posturing towards. And what we have seen as a kind of a more standard scenario is, of course, that default over towards A ramp. Looking towards EndGame, though, no buy for Flix. The full eco situation for her. So, but same can be said for Sinon. It's kind of a very mixed buy. The 3 weapons save, but no investment around it. They're just guaranteeing or hoping to guarantee some success off the back of the 3 rifles.
Nice little boost here. Looking to see if they can find some early information. Nothing doing yet. Liberty again, just sticking to this very patient play. Feeling really bad for EndGame in this round, because obviously this is going to put us onto match point no matter which way it goes. And if EndGame lose this round, okay, they get the full loss streak bonus, so at least they've got that going for, well, maybe not full. I think it's like 3 rounds, 4 rounds.
Yeah.
So it's enough to buy into the next round at the very least. But Liberty are on a bit of a runaway here. Still have the AWP in their hands, inching their way forward, both in this round and in the series.
As we stand. Well, forward to play for. What a swing coming forward. Mizzy thought she had the drop, but I know it's Coldzenia for a double. Flash will come forward to try and allow her to reposition. But no, she's going to double down. Just trying to hold down the fort. We see the double stack coming in from construction as well. And for EndGame, this is looking brilliant from them. Coldzenia makes it a third as she finds Reggiano. What an important swing it is. Bomb will be planted, but the numbers heavily favor that of EndGame. What a round individually is for her. And speaking of individuals, Juliana and Furzy need to step up. Look at the first, which still fine as the AWP steps up. Looks like a second as a quick flick. Furzy, what is that for that second shot? Holding in towards other stairs, but they're going to be tested from construction. It's a double swing, but it's a 1-for-1 trade. Quad kill, looking for the ace, technically speaking. Coldzenia, but going to drop by the AWP. A tag on towards the teammate as well. The collat nearly paying off. These swap for the pistol, potentially, but no, going to hold down. Relying on the AWP. No! Won't connect other shots, and Namie clutches it out. Time is of the essence. Will she able to get the defuse? It's going to be oh so close, but I think the bomb might just beat it. No, she just gets it.
Oh man, I was having flashbacks to the RMR there.
Oh yeah, big time.
The dodo, man.
Yeah.
Oh, what a heartbreak. That was so close there. Furzy, what a monster. What an incredible round from her. Okay, just not enough. I think if she actually pulls out the pistol a little bit earlier there, you could see her try to pull it out and she spots out the player, but unfortunately just not enough timing. Oh, she could have just played Ringer Rosie just a split second longer. What a round. What an incredible round. But as I mentioned before, that puts us onto match point here in favor of EndGame. LaFlex has picked up the AWP once again. This is like the second time that we're going to see her with it, second or third in this map. We'll see if she can make something happen with it, as unfortunately Furzy not going to have the AWP this time around. And I think that might even be tactical. Like, okay, it's probably monetary, but I think it's very tactical. I think that the idea here is to try and overrun the sites. You have to play a little bit more slowly if you're relying on the AWP getting that value.
For sure.
In this round in particular, they realize they have to win this if they want to take this to overtime, if they want to keep themselves alive in it. So they're going to swap up their strategy a little bit. We'll see now how EndGame respond to it.
Okay, well, as we stand, this is the be-all and end-all. We kind of mentioned that for Liberty last time out, it was a more or less plain sailing for them in terms of they looked very comfortable throughout the entire series and were able to really kind of make a statement in terms of how they played. But I mean, now it's completely flipped the script. EndGame have looked a more comfortable side, especially coming in towards SCT, and this makes this series all the more interesting in the long-term scope of things. Molotov will come forward. Namie once again, playing in towards a sandbag position, is going to drop that smoke and just bide a little bit of time. She doesn't need to do anything too special, anything overzealous. It's all about holding and waiting for the rotation to come forward, and what a brilliant opener. Once again from Coldzenia, found a 4K in towards the previous round. She opens this one up once again, and for Liberty, what was looking already like a dire situation with their opponents on 15, now they've lost the numbers advantage. Molotov to come forward, Namie's going to swing off the back of it. Damage only dealt. No kill this time. The numbers brought level once again.
That's Furzy with an AWP, with a rifle, whatever the case is. She gets it done. But LaFlex is watching this entry point here as you come around ramp. She's waiting for somebody to peek their heads up. See, there you go. Pop Flash comes out. Do they take advantage of it as Lil Xena on a flank isn't able to connect?
Oh no, the labored spray is a really unfortunate situation. Molotov in the face, but they should be able to get this bomb planted. Joe's going to go for the boost though. This allows Furzy a little bit of an elevator. Bangle, the flash is really good. No, Furzy going to fall off this. No way. She's done her best Josie impression as she falls. Mizzy set up huge, find a double, and leaves it all down to Sinon, all alone on 1 versus 2, jumping from above, and they're able to push this one to overtime. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going the distance.
In my blood.
Hello and welcome back. Well, overtime is where we are heading towards. A clutch coming forward for Liberty Female. Ties this game up 15-15. It's EndGame's map peak, but this could quite literally go either way.
It has been 0 days since Vertigo claimed a victim. You know, I said somebody had to say it, and I'll be damned if I'm not going to be the one that gets to say it. 2 victims, in fact, in this one. A little bit unfortunate. 1 in each half, so let's see if we get a few more victims in this overtime. This has been really exciting. Neither of us really expected it to go this far, you know?
No.
We kind of predicted the potential 3 map. We thought, well, maybe, you know, 1 would be kind of one-sided, the second would be a little bit one-sided in the other way, and then we kind of go for an all-out slugfest on Dust too. But this has been great from EndGame. The improvements that we're seeing here are exceptional.
Exactly that. Look at that opener as well. Mitty sprays down. Josie gets the numbers in favor of the T side. That's exactly what Liberty wanted. Unfortunately, they missed smoke, but at the very least, they got the numbers in their favor. And now they've made a decision. That decision's back over towards B. They've had a lot of success in that late game from it. And it's all down to Corzine. She's not holding us out of position. She gets caught in the flank. Doesn't even expect the aggression to go forward. It's all down to Navy swinging forward. But Josie, brilliant from her to make it a double. She's been so good at the mid-aggression. This time, Liberty on their T side, taking no prisoners.
I love that patient play from Liberty. So you have one player who's watching the entryway, and she kind of sprays down a little bit, but the second player is just kind of hugging the wall a little bit and hasn't been spotted out, and she just waits for her teammate to die, and then she swings on that and gets the trade. And it's worth, because you make sure that she survives long enough to do that. You know, if somebody else spots her out, then maybe EndGame get both of those kills, and then they give themselves the advantage. So really good patient play there from Liberty. Gonna get them the first round here in this OT. That's a little bit dangerous for EndGame here. We're going to see. I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen as we continue along with their CT side. It has been pretty back and forth, as we've mentioned a couple of times here. I like seeing that Liberty have actually kind of swapped up their play a little bit. They've mostly had very, very patient plays. And I think that kind of what went wrong there is EndGame tried to go for a little bit more of an aggressive style, and that just tends to feed straight into Liberty. Or you're just walking into their crosshairs, and they do so well to mow that down.
Yeah, no, exactly that. But of course, unfortunately, we are, what I am assuming is a little bit of a tech pause here in towards OT, but a really good start for Liberty. What we did see, the slightly more passive play to kickstart things, and then the snappy aggression coming forward, a double coming through. We see that initial mid take from the CT side is really, you know, we got high risk, high reward plays, and in that time, the risk wasn't worth the reward. The trades go in favor of the T side, which they usually do. They hold down the fort, and Josie finding that double in towards mid made all the difference. Namey in a 1 versus 3, it's really the odds stacked against her, and unfortunately, in that scenario, not going to work in their favor. 16-15, and on T side as well, to be already picking up a significant amount of rounds in their favor, exactly what they want.
It's good to see that they're still in good spirits.
Exactly. Well,
I don't know what they were laughing about.
Hey.
Yeah, I mean, well, 1 point. They never hold the lead for terribly long. It just keeps going back and forth. But it's always nice to see that they're keeping their spirits up. I believe this is another tech pause. So
unfortunately,
I wonder what's happening that they keep having these tech pauses. I mean, we know that Liberty in the very first game of groups, they had to forfeit one of their maps because they kept having tech issues. So hopefully it's not going to be something as egregious here. And they can sort themselves out, because given how back and forth this has been, I mean, this is one of those series that you will really kick yourself if you don't get to finish, not just because of the stakes that are involved, but because it is such a good match. And there's a little bit of something to prove here, I think, for both of these teams. For EndGame, they want to show that they can do it. They've been one of the only 2 teams to take a map off of Black Dragons, which is pretty impressive in and of itself, but they did lose out to Liberty in the last time that they played up against one another. And as I mentioned before, Liberty started off the group stages on a little bit of a wonky footing. Now, they did manage to bring it back for themselves. The only team that they've lost against, they have a 3-2 record. The only team they lost against has been Black Dragons. Bearing in mind, this is a round robin, double round robin. So yeah, they've been doing pretty well, and they were the invited team of this group. So we kind of expected them to be the team that came out on top. Black Dragons came through with a very strong play here, maybe a little bit surprising, depending on how closely you follow the scene, I suppose. But Liberty want to show that they were invited for a reason. They don't want to give this over to EndGame. So to be plagued by tech difficulties, if it is them, I'm actually not sure, maybe it's EndGame. But either way, it's not ideal.
I think potentially it was EndGame, because I know Corzina hadn't picked up a buy until only a couple of seconds ago. So I think maybe an issue on their side. I've right to say, yeah, FPS issues over towards EndGame. So hopefully kind of fixed in, just momentarily gets one back underway. But yeah, as we stand so far, so good. A 1-round lead initially for Liberty is exactly what they wanted. They've started to figure out as well how EndGame like to play their CT side. And because of that now becomes problematic for EndGame, where I would want to see them change it up. And normally when things kind of aren't looking too good, I like to see a bit of CT aggression come forward. But that's exactly what they paid the price in doing so to kickstart OT. They tried to kind of catch Liberty off guard and kind of immediately make a statement by gaining a round, by forcing a round in their favor. And because they went for that kind of overzealous peeking towards mid, very, very aggressive in their nature, they lost the numbers advantage, and the numbers in the trade game always does favor the T side. That's exactly what we did see. Now as we stand 16-15, and things can become problematic for EndGame, where, yeah, I mean, the economy is never going to be an issue, but it's more a case of if they go in towards that of the kind of the second half with Liberty only needing 1 or 2 rounds left to get, I mean, that pressure becomes a very, very tough kind of demon to deal with.
I'm actually a little surprised that we didn't see the AWP come out in that first round, but I think that it was the right call, right?
Yes,
so the team that would be more likely to have done that would have been EndGame, because they're the ones on the CT, and they opt not to, and it's just as well because they don't wind up winning that round, as we kind of discussed a little bit there. So glad to see that they made that decision, and I mean, you have to kind of make sure that you can make that econ last as long as possible, particularly if you're not winning rounds. So there's only been 1 round into this OT, and just an update, it's actually an FPS issue, and it is on EndGame side. So, that's heartbreaking, right? I mean, this team that really wants to come out big on top of Liberty, who didn't manage to make it happen previously, to be now plagued with issues. It's not great. It's rough goings, but hopefully we'll be back into it relatively soon. And I think that what's so amazing about this group in particular has been how kind of close it is, right? So Group A was fairly decisive. The fact that both teams from Group A have already been decided, despite the last 2 games not having been played out yet, already says a lot. Like, the map differentials were so large. And of course, it's Furia and MIBR. I mean, these are 2 teams that have had a bit of a rivalry for quite some time. And they have, MIBR have kind of had a Cinderella story when it comes to Furia. But they haven't gotten to the ball yet. They're still Cinderella. They're still living with the stepmother. And we're waiting for them to have that opportunity. And it still hasn't happened yet. But they're still that little bit more advanced than QSC and W7M, who, just weren't able to match up to the raw firepower. So Group A, very, very decisive. Group B, a little bit more closely contested. And, enough of my waffling. We're back in the game at last.
Good effort there, just keeping us on our toes. No, but you're exactly right. Over towards Group A, it was very, very decisive, kind of more or less immediately. This one actually has a lot, this game has a lot of weight on its shoulders in terms of what it means for the entire league, who's going towards Dallas, or who at least gives themselves that opportunity to go towards Dallas. So yeah, this is a lot kind of residing on this game as we stand. And well, for Liberty to have a 16-15 lead isn't the worst position then to be in. Now, Potflash going to come forward. Once again, that sandbags area has been a problem. Sin holding from above, going for an elevated boost, but waiting and buying a time. Missy reads it like a book. Brilliant play from her. Sin will fall. That's an important kill, because Sin, we know she has been a real impact player of the likes of EndGame. To lose her immediately, more or less, in towards round number 2 of OT number 1, exactly the start that they wanted. Numbers favor that on the T side, the same way they did in towards that opening round of OT. And Liberty gone in for number 17, and Josie and Thursday making it all the more likely. Lazinia has to step up huge, but he finds a triple. That's stunning from her. She brings numbers level. It's a 2 versus 2 now.
Honestly, Mizzy has been such a boon for this Liberty squad, and for her to get that opening kill gives them the opportunity, the opening that they need. But EndGame do really well to bring it back around, like ships in the night. The one misses out, but it's Josie who's holding down the line. She's been a little up and down here, had a bit of a rough start, but she's able to clutch out that round there and increase Liberty's lead. A solid round for them. Try and keep that momentum going.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I mean, that triple spray down from Lazinia kind of gave them somewhat possibility, but once again, we spoke about Josie being that mid-low player time and time again. She's such an excellent job of doing it. All she has to do, hold and wait, and Well, she delivers brilliantly. The AWP has been picked up this time into the final round of this first half. And what's a brilliant start. Mizzy, exactly what they needed. Finding an opener. And with Naomi out of the equation, sitting on a lot of pressure on her shoulders. She's been spammed. In fact, they may have even heard the sound cue. No, they're not holding down the fort, waiting to find their opportunity. But in comes Juliana, finding one. So number 4, 5 versus 3. 2 numbers advantage in favor of Liberty Female. And endgame, this is looking dicey now.
Oh, that's heartbreaking because the Flicks actually bought into the AWP here. Now, the bomb hasn't been planted just yet. So there's still a chance here to try and do that denial, maybe hold those angles if possible. Like you said, here is the AWP looking to try and get an opening, but there you go. Bomb is planted and endgame forced so far back, and Liberty actually looking to push this. This is very dangerous, but if it works out, they could take away so many of these guns.
Oh, really well played as well. Juliana Mizzy, one apiece, easy done, and leaves the all ball alone. 18-15 at the half. Liberty only now need 1.
Match point once again. endgame have really struggled to find any sort of footing. And bearing in mind that was, you know, an extended CT for them. So we kind of expected them to get more done on that one. Now, they did do relatively well on their T side. In fact, both of these teams had fairly even CT and T sides, right? But if you just follow trends, you're generally expecting a CT to go a little bit better.
Exactly.
Now with endgame back on their T side, we're not terribly concerned because we know that they do have a fairly strong T side. But I think that the pressure starts to mount at this point. Yes, okay. You know, you got full cash available to you, you know, your OT cash, so you're not strapped in that department, you're not stressed out in terms of what you're going to be able to spend, you know, you're not running into this on a pistol round, you know, it's not like a normal half. But the pressure of knowing that you're coming into this on match point, particularly after they've lost, 6 rounds in a row? It's been really rough going here. That we talk about how important momentum is, and Verzi's just picked up an AWP, and I'm not sure if endgame are going to be expecting that. I suppose they would be, but if they're not, then, you know, that could also really catch them off guard. It's a really tough position to be in. Oh my god, Verzi, what the hell?
What a shot that is from her. Flicks at least delivering to be the numbers level, but that is a stunner to open things up. Regian finding one belabored spray. Nade will at least cause a little bit of damage towards Navy. Naming, may I say, but the numbers are brought level. That opening shot is brilliant. And Verzi able to fall away. Now gets a lot of space for Liberty to work with. She can hold down the fort from range, allow for the rotations to come in. And for that rotating player, for an all-upon-5 to be Mizzy with 34 kills isn't the worst support to have by any means. So we're going to come forward now. You talk to support it as well. As we stand, so far, so good. Nade will cause a good chunk of damage towards Corzinia, as she's dropped 60 points of HP. And well, 18-15, 3 versus 3, and HP favoring the CT side. Endgame, this is looking like a very uncomfortable position to be in.
That opening shot from Verzi just freaking sent me, man. Pop flash that came out, she just spammed through the smoke, manages to get a shot. Sure, why the hell not?
Oh, the contact play is so smart as well. They go in dry, no information, no utility needed, and just like that is closed out. Ladies and gentlemen, it's endgame's map pick, but it's Liberty Female to come out on top, and what a performance it was from them. It went the full distance. We went to OT, but only one was required, as endgame just couldn't quite find their form.
Look at them. They're so happy, bless them. I'm so glad we have the play games. I know for the first few weeks we didn't have them. It's so nice to be able to see the player reactions, you know, see Josie losing it as she falls off the map, and